Well, welcome back to the show. Let's go to line 7. Good morning, Des Sullivan. You're on the air.
Good morning, Paddy. Thanks for having me on your show.
My pleasure. Thank you for calling.
Paddy, we, as you know, on Uncle Gnarly blog have discussed probably in hundreds of pages many aspects of the Muskrat Falls project over the last number of years. None, I don't think, have captured the attention of the public, much like the photographs taken in Goose Bay of all of the scrap steel that now lies in a yard on the road down Northwest River that reflects a large chunk of public money. And I'd like to talk about that a little bit, if I might. I think that one thing has to be clear, and having listened to Gilbert Bennett today, and having seen or read the comments of the Minister of Natural Resources in the House Assembly yesterday, they would leave the impression, number one, that this is all Astaldi's cost, that somehow there's no public money involved here. I would take you back right to the beginning of this announcement. It was a Nalcor announcement, in fact, that the dome or ICS system would be built. And Nalcor announced the amount of the capital cost of this thing at $120 million. This didn't come from Astaldi. In addition, regardless of whether Astaldi makes some of the decisions or not, it is still accounted for from the total cost of Muskrat Falls. So either way you slice it, this thing cost the public purse $120 million that we know of. We don't know if they were actually able to do this for $120 million. We don't know now what the cost of demolition is, and we don't know, and this I underline this third point, we don't know what the cost of the inability to get the ICS system or dome done of the slowdown in the actual Muskrat Falls project. Because when you slow down a mega project by a day or a week even, you're talking major costs.
Right. Now, did you hear Mr. Bennett's answers to those exact questions?
Yes.
Okay.
And I have to. I'll take you. One of the approaches that I take on the blog, Paddy, is that I'd like to send Nalcor's words back at them. And in this case, if you read page 17 of the Oversight Committee's report, you'll see two particular items, and I'll very quickly just read, because it only involves a couple of sentences. One sentence on page 17 of the last Oversight report says, "This decision to not complete the ICS over Units 3 and 4 will impact the scheduled progress on the powerhouse and intake over the coming winter months in 2015. Now, that's an admission that the failure to complete the dome is causing a delay. Now, let me just skip down another paragraph where it says, Nalcor has increased its project team members working on the site and are working closely with the civil contractor on several performance improvements initiatives to mitigate slippage. Now, I'll take you back, Paddy, to some months ago when Nalcor made it clear that they needed to inject some of their own people into the Nalcor management, into the Astaldi management at Muskrat Falls. And this is confirmation by the Oversight Committee that process actually happened. So to suggest that this is all Astaldi, that there's no money here, no influence on the public purse, and that Nalcor is out of the decision-making loop is simply hogwash.
Okay, let me ask you this. So, the delay issue, when I ask him that question and he says that their contract is clear with them so far as scheduled delivery, the completion of their work, and the fixed unit and fixed lump sum value of their contract. When he says any delay will be subject to terms and conditions, which I assume means financial penalties or money we don't have to pay, whichever way it's sliced, it'll be amount of money saved. And for the So far as the dome goes, the ICS and the cost of the construction, if it was $120 million in that original contract, as he says this morning, that if it costs Astaldi more than that, then that would be a cost that they would have to suffer, and it does not affect the fixed unit and or fixed lump sum.
You've zeroed in on a key point, Patty.
I'm trying to.
What is going on here is a phraseology that is conveniently fit to a particular situation. The fact is, you've got a $1 billion contract here with Astaldi. It has been kept secret under the guise of commercial sensitivity. We do not know. If you look at some of the stuff that's been said in the House of Assembly and by Nalcor itself, there's all sorts of general phrasing with regard to unit costs. And the fact is, the only way for the public to see what they are exposed to is for Nalcor to have the minister table the Astaldi contract in the House of Assembly. Because we have a right to that information, and we cannot take a word or a phrase by the minister or by Gilbert Bennett as somehow proof that everything is fine and we shouldn't worry about cost overruns at Muskrat Falls, when in fact we had to be very concerned, because if anyone thinks that this $120 million is coming out of Astaldi's pocket, then I've got swampland for you in Florida.
Des, how can, and listen, I don't dispute it, and I've been anxious to see these contracts because the way you phrase it I think is appropriate. It's our money. The ratepayers are wholly responsible for the repayment of every single cent of the capital debt.
And to that point, Patty, if Nalcor came to you and said, look, Patty, we have a lump sum contract. We have a scope of work. We have a lump sum contract. Astaldi, go away. Let us know when you've got the work done. We'll inspect it. We'll pay you. But that is not the way it is phrased. They come at us with something called unit pricing, which I can tell you right now is a far cry from lump sum pricing. And the fact is that I know without a doubt that the way that contract is structured is that the public purse is exposed to a great deal of risk. How much risk? I don't know. But I do know it is a far cry from lump sum contract, which then would define the exposure to the public purse. That isn't there. We need the certainty so that people can say, okay, if Astaldi wants to scrap $120 million worth of steel, we don't care because we have a lump sum contract. But no one's saying that, Patty.
Well, Mr. Bennett did indeed say that this morning. Here's what I'll ask you, and based on the points that you just made, and I think you're right, would we, even if that contract was tabled this afternoon in the House of Assembly, would we have any further understanding of the clauses and phrases included in the contract and what they actually mean to the ratepayer of developing this project on the Lower Churchill until it's all said and done? Well, meaning, if there's any further overruns and or delays which cause further overruns on the big bill, will we even know what that contract includes for us until it's all said and done and the switch is flipped and the power is flowing? I know you know what I'm saying here, is because we can look at the contract and we won't know the dollars and cents until it's all done. So what security can we get from a thorough evaluation of the contract today, we'll say?
Well, I think a couple of things. One, we need to know just how many of the contracts issued at Muskrat Falls are done in a fashion that leaves the public purse exposed. Because if the public purse is exposed to the whole labor and services component, then it means that the public purse is on the hook for a heck of a lot of cost overruns. Okay, that's number one. You heard Gilbert Bennett refer to the unit rate contract. That's not all he said, but nevertheless he did identify that we were not talking about a lump sum contract here. He also referred to the North Spur,
right, where he says they weren't going to be able to have a contract that was firm on lump sum or unit price, however they want to say it, because of the geotechnical nature of the job.
You got it. You heard it precisely. And what Mr. Bennett is saying to you and to the public, we don't know what this North Spur price is going to be at the end of the day, because the contractor hasn't even begun to start digging yet. But when he digs it up and we see what's there, and if our geotechnical surveys have been off, then it means that the price goes up. So you've hit the nail on the head. We have a number of very major contracts, and the North Spur is a major contract, just as the Astaldi contract is a major contract. We're talking billions of dollars here. That we are not able to say that we have a cap on those costs, and that's why we have been vocal for over 2 years now about how the strategy for building Muskrat Falls was being entertained. And on to that, I'll just make one final point, if I might, Patty. We have often said that Nalcor did not possess the expertise to build Muskrat Falls. It had not done a project in 40 years. Any expertise that was there to build that project, which was obviously paled by comparison in terms of size and cost, was gone anyway. So there is no expertise at Nalcor to build a mega project, and this is the first real example, physical manifestation, if you will, in photographs of the kind of decision-making an amateur outfit gets involved in.
But wouldn't that amateur outfit in this case be Astaldi?
This amateur outfit in this case is Nalcor for not having had the capacity to put someone on site. Well, I would go back even further, for allowing this thing to be...
right, but now that it's ongoing...
But now that it's there, they clearly chose a contractor not familiar with northern conditions and having the management capability to perform well in those conditions. And let's face it, it's not easy building in Labrador. We have to assume, Patty, that Nalcor built those challenges into their estimates. If Nalcor didn't build those challenges into their estimates, then their estimates are hogwash. We shouldn't believe any of them. We should get ready for far more cost overruns if those challenges weren't identified in the first instance. That's where expertise comes in. That's where guys and gals who understand mega projects, who understand an execution strategy, are able to flesh out the numbers in advance and say, here, public, we're going to build you a hydro project. This is what it's going to cost. We have examined all the challenges, and we think we can bring it in for this. And we have to assume that that's what Nalcor did in the first instance. So
there are some large ifs associated to a variety of issues here. When the Astaldi contract was awarded, there was immediate backlash from other North American bidders talking about the expertise of Astaldi in that type of climate, number one. And some of the ifs, I don't even know, regardless of what people think I can or you can or anyone can do, having some of those ifs satisfied before the budget is actually exhausted, and we understand how lawyers will apply one clause or another in a contract, is tricky business at the best of times.
Yes.
Anything else very quickly, sir, because I'm way over and I do have to go to a break.
Yes, I will just add in conclusion. This situation really magnifies the necessity for an independent review now. If we can take those comments by Gilbert Bennett and go on about our business and suffer the cost overruns that are inevitable on Muskrat Falls, or the politicians, and this starts with Premier Davis because he's been very, very quiet on this, he has to appoint an independent, internationally recognized, competent group to assess Muskrat Falls and where we're going on it, so that we can make a decision whether to shut the darn thing down or incur what a really, truly independent panel thinks will be the final cost. That's important right now. It's in the public interest to do exactly that.
And that's going to require some political will. Currently, the PCs are not willing to, and I've never heard a comment from either the Liberals or the NDP to say that they are, either of those parties are in a position where they think it's what the political agenda includes. So
you're absolutely right. I mean, it has been a great failure of politics on all sides of the house in this regard. But let's keep the focus where it ought to be. You have a new premier ultimately responsible, presiding over what is now, including interest costs, an $8 billion project, who has not said a paragraph on Muskrat Falls since he was elected. I don't understand that. I mean, you've got the public purse exposed to billions of dollars. This project has the capability to seriously injure the public welfare, and the Premier is mute on it. Just one very final point. I was going through this morning, because I did an interview on Labrador Morning, and I was noting the amount of money raised in this fiscal year in new levies and taxes, and I think the figure in the budget works out to $122 million. You know something? Yeah. That's the figure of just the dome. Just for the erection, probably not for the demolition, but for the erection, $120 million. That's the taxes and levies included in the budget just this year.
And, of course, Mr. Bennett says that is the cost. Anything over and above that suffered by Astaldi itself because of the fixed unit and fixed lump sum feature of their contract. We'll pick this up again another day.
Let them table it in the House, Patty.
Well, I don't dispute that either. I appreciate your time, Des.
Thank you very much.
All the best. Bye-bye.